Hey guys, welcome back to Ed's Garage. Today, doing a quick product review on the AMZCHEF or AMZCHEF or AMZCHEF. Not sure exactly how to pronounce this. But yeah, this is on their little electric water heater. This is a 7-liter electric water heater, just a little guy. And yeah, basically you're going to be installing this or using this while off-roading with my Hummer. So I need to make this somewhat portable. And basically what I'm going to do today is show you how this is all set up, whether or not it's any good, and we'll go from there. Now this is the 7-liter or 2.2 gallon roughly heater. It's pretty inexpensive. It's only $100 US on Amazon.com. Now basically, this is really good for like installing under a sink in case you want to have like instant water or hot water. You don't have to have, wait for the lines to fill up with hot water in your house. Or it's also really good for a camper van or a small trailer or something like that. In this case, I'm going to go with the camper van sort of idea. It's going to be installed portable so that I can use it with my Hummer H3, which I use for overlanding. So I want to be able to take really quick showers, like 3-4 minutes. So I don't know if, I assume this is going to be enough hot water because it does get pretty hot. If I remember correctly, it gets up to about 90 degrees Celsius, which is just below the boiling point. So on the side here, there is a little bit of information. So we've got model number, which is RZ87, rated pressure 1 MPa, millipascal, I guess. Rated power 1500 watts when it's actually heating at 120 volts. And rated capacity 7 liters, 60 hertz. Electrical category class 1, and it's IPX4, which means this could potentially be rained on. It shouldn't have a problem with that by the looks of it. We got a little bit of a schematic, wiring schematic in there, which is kind of nice to see. And then we've got some warnings and how-tos and whatnot. So here we go. So water temperature over 52 degrees Celsius can cause severe burns. So we know that this gets up a lot higher than that. And if I remember correctly, it's up to 90 degrees. So what I'm going to be doing is basically this will fill up, and then there will be a water source that I have this pump connected to. And I've got basically a bunch of hoses here, some clamps. I've got these little things. They're a 90 degree, well, I'll tell you exactly what they are actually. They're 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch. They're elbows that are capable of swiveling, and they're the NPSM standard. Stupid elastic. There we go. And this actually fits perfectly on here. So this is the same type of fitting that you would find for like brass piping. The threads are the same, and they're considered 1/2 inch. So what's cool about these things is I can swivel them around. Actually, I got a pack of 5, which is pretty inexpensive. So yeah, one on either side of that, of course, and then this is going to go in here with some plumbing tape to seal that up. So that's this stuff here that comes in the bag. So it did actually come with this, and they said that you can mount it either on a wall. You can see here it's got like a bracket hanging on a wall, and that's what this piece is for. So you put this piece on the wall, and then this kind of just hangs on there. Or it can be stood on its base. The weird thing, though, I found there's no feet on the base, and the base is not perfectly flat, so it kind of rocks around a little bit. So I'm gonna stick some feet on there, and we'll figure it out. Now, what I've also got is a little shower here. So this is actually designed for small RVs, and the threads, all these threads are exactly the same, and the fittings are all the same. So it's basically just sort of standard plumbing stuff. So that should be pretty easy to get this all hooked up. Now this pump that I got, also got that on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. It's like, I think it was like $15. And then the hose, the line is 3/8, not 1/2 inch, because the barb connections on this pump are 3/8. And what is good about this actually is that even though this is technically rated for 1/2 inch PEX, you can see while it's not barbed, it does have little, it kind of looks like barbed connection. So I'm going to jam this over top of these, and it should work just fine. I've also got a T-fitting I couldn't find a 3/8 T-fitting with barbed sides or barbed connections, so I just got a 1/2 inch T that's kind of normally used for PEX pipe with crimp fittings. That'll work. Basically, if you warm this hose up a little bit, it'll become flexible enough that I can slide it over that easily enough. So it's going to have, this is going to go into the tank, like a regular water tank. The other end will go to this T-fitting around here. And then this will branch out. One will go to the cold water inlet. The other will go directly to the faucet. And then another line will run from the hot water output to the hot water on the faucet. So all of that needs to be as compact as possible so that I can move it around easily. And my plan is to make it so that it fits inside one of those Home Depot yellow and black container boxes. All right, let me show you what I got going on here. So I've decided to actually kind of bolt this right on here. So this is going to be very, very handy. Shower hose comes off the bottom here, and then inside you can see I'm real nice and close to everything. So next thing I got to put on is the safety release valve, which is right here. You can see I've wrapped the threads using the supplied plumber's tape. Now a lot of people think that this is a sealant. It's actually more of a thread lubricator. So as you put it in, you're going to get a little bit more ability to tighten this up. Now it does help to seal it a little bit as well. So it's a combination of those two things anyway. So this basically is so that if something goes wrong, if for whatever reason the temperature thermostat stops working and it starts to get too hot, this will actually open up and allow the pressure to escape. So you don't have a bomb. All right, here we go. Well, that's where it stopped. So this doesn't need to be super tight. It just needs to be tight enough. So essentially what I mean by that is if you go too tight, you could potentially damage those threads. They are just a plastic thread in there. All right, let me show you what I got so far here. So I've got the pressure relief valve installed. It's all taped up nicely. This is just on here loose. I've got the faucet installed. These are tight. I was thinking of having this go that way, and then I realized, well, this is the hot water inlet anyway, so I could just go straight from here to here if I do it this way. This one is going to just have to wrap around. Actually, this one doesn't go to this, now that I think about it. This goes to the pump. So, yeah, so we'll figure that out. Yeah, as you can see, I've also drilled a hole in the front for the thermostat, so you can access that fairly easily. I was going to put that piece of wood in the bottom, but unfortunately, then it would be too close to this. So that wasn't going to work. And also this would be too high. Wouldn't be able to put the lid on. So I'm probably just going to like stuff some insulation down the sides or something just to help it keep warm. All right. What I have done though is I took an inner tube and taped it to the bottom, as you can see, an old inner tube. So it's got a little bit of protection on the bottom now. So that's helpful anyway. All right. I'm going to continue hosing it up here. Okay, I'm on day 2 of the build. Didn't really get a whole lot done on day 1 of the build. So just started a couple of things here. I've added a little bit of a wood frame behind the tank. So now, because we have the little knob here pointing out the front of the box, I wanted to have something to keep the tank right up against that side. So came up with this little structure here. I'm going to actually screw this to the floor of this container, and I'm also going to put 2 screws through this into the tank. So where this little hanger piece was, I'm going to find some longer screws that'll fit and run them through that piece of plywood into the tank. That'll keep the tank nice and solid so it doesn't slide around side to side. And then when this is bolted to the floor, it'll stop the tank from, well, stop this from coming up basically. So then it'll be snug as a bug. And then I'm going to go ahead and hose everything up and figure out the wiring situation. That should be pretty simple. My plan is to tap into the wiring for the tank here and then just run like a 12 volt transformer so that I can run the little pump off of the same line. I think that should work okay. Okay, let me show you what I've got here. So I've got the water inlet pipe. So this basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this sitting inside of a big 23 liter. It's almost like a jerry can, but it's specifically for water. And that actually happens to fit perfectly right here. So not with the lid on, mind you, so I'll have to figure something out there. But I also have a lot of room in here if I want to get a different sort of water container. I can really kind of fill this whole section up. What I probably can't do is just fill the whole thing up with water. I'm going to have to actually put a container in here. Anyway, so that's the water inlet, goes into the pump. You'll notice that the pump is mounted with the motor up. And the reason for that is so that if for whatever reason there's any leaks, whoop, if for whatever reason there's any leaks at either of these two connections, oh, I still got to tighten up a clamp. I'm glad I saw that actually. Then it's not going to drip onto the electronics for the motor. So it's just going to drip straight down. Okay. And then from the motor, it goes up to the T connection here. And from this T connection, it goes up to the cold side of the hot water tank. And the other one wraps underneath, comes out here, and wraps over to the cold side of the faucet. So that's how that's all set up. Yeah, and then of course from the hot water tank to the hot side of the faucet. And then the only other thing to do is actually to hook up the little shower hose to this guy right here. So basically the next thing to do is wire things up. So I got to wire up the pump now. Got to figure out how I'm going to get power to that. And then we'll be on to testing. Okay, so I am done. All right, here's what I got. So I've got this 23 liter tank, no longer full of water because I have used the little electric pump here to pump 7 liters into this tank. This tank is now completely full. I have the hose hooked up for the little mini shower head here. And now I'm going to turn it on. One thing I forgot to do was add a little hole in here for the lights, because there's actually a light that indicates when it's on and also when it's done heating. So I'm going to have to do that, but I'm not sure exactly where it is. So yeah, I'll get to that. But first, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Now I am going to use my battery pack because I want to see what sort of draw the hot water heater has. Apparently it's rated for 1,000 watts, if I remember correctly. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and hope that nothing explodes. Nothing appears to be leaking so far, so that's good. All of the connections are nice and dry. There's no drips anywhere, so that's awesome to see. Yeah, here goes nothing. Let's turn this on and let's have a look at, there's the click there. Let's have a look at the wattage draw here. 12, okay, so clearly it's higher than 1,000 watts. Ah, and it just killed my inverter. It actually was just the battery's BMS that was set to 40 amps as maximum overcurrent. I just bumped it to 45 and fixed that problem. Now the inverter doesn't turn on. Well, that's annoying. All right, I figured it out. So basically what happened was the BMS in my battery box just maxed out. I had the discharge overcurrent set to 40 amps, and it's just a little over that. Gets to about 42 amps draw. So that makes me think that I'll probably not be able to run the pump and the hot water heater at the same time. So hopefully there's enough hot water in the hot water heater to mix with the remaining water in the tank for a single shower. So that's the plan anyway. But anyway, here's what it's drawing right now. It's drawing 1,373 watts. And we've set a timer to see how long it takes to heat up the water. I've got the lights are basically down here, right below the little knob. So I'm gonna have to like drill 2 little holes in there just so I can see the actual power light and the done light. So that's the next thing I got to do. I feel stupid for not having done that earlier, but I just didn't think about it. Okay, so I'll get that done and we'll see how long this takes to warm up. They said it's supposed to take somewhere around 13 minutes maximum to warm up 7 liters of water, which makes about the right amount of sense because when I'm heating up water using a little cooktop and a big pot, it also takes about 10 minutes. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. All right, we're about 7 minutes in. my inverter is at 80 degrees Celsius. It is still pulling. It's still pulling. You can see the red light still on there. So I imagine the red light just needs to go out and then it's done. But yeah, as you can see, I cut out a little viewing hole for that. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but actually, I'm going to take that out still. There we go. And it's also not perfectly lined up, but you know what? I don't care. Actually, funny thing is, I lined it up nicely with the knob. It's almost like the lights are slightly offset of the knob, weirdly enough. I sincerely hope. Now I'm getting an overheat temp. All right, so I'm getting an over temp now. That sucks. Which means I'm going to need to throttle this down a bit. All right, so unfortunately my inverter can't seem to handle this amount of power for very long. I'm probably going to need to improve the cooling in here, unfortunately. So I might just switch to just a regular wall outlet for now to test this out. And then I'll have to do a little bit better on my battery pack, I guess. That's too bad. Okay, light is off. I actually did dial back the knob. The indicator's right here, just right there. I dialed it back just a tiny bit because I could hear the water inside. It was pretty much at a boiling point, and I just turned it back a tiny bit and it stopped. And that took 15 minutes. I think, well, obviously if I dialed it back earlier, it would have taken much less time. But it is definitely hot in there. I did develop a tiny leak on this one right here, but I tightened it up and that seems to have fixed itself. Well, after tightening it. Guys, I am fully aware that there's electrical near water here. Not to worry, this will be connected to a GFCI breaker and plug in. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and see how long we can take a shower for now. So this is the little shower head that I got in this kit with this faucet here. I'm going to basically fill up this bucket. Well, put as much of that water in that bucket, see how long it takes, and see how long of a shower we can take. So call it 15 minutes to get the water hot, but it's really, really hot. It's scalding hot, so it's obviously too hot to take a shower. It's going to mix with the water in that little tank there, and I got to get the right temperature, and then we'll start counting. Turn on the pump. Pressure. Turn on some cold water first. I'll turn them both on a bit and then I'll adjust as necessary. That's too hot. Too hot. Too cold. All right, start the timer. A bit too cold. Yeah, right about there. That's really nice. That is really nice now. It's a great temperature. So it's mixing now with the cold water. So now the water that's coming out of the tank, the big tank in the background there, is going into the hot water heater and into the cold faucet. So it's going to suddenly turn cold. It's not going to be a gradual change. However, if I was able to run the hot water heater constantly, which I am doing right now, then it'll probably last a little bit longer. So the light for the hot water heater hasn't come back on yet, which is interesting. I would have expected it to come back on by now, but it's pretty good. How many minutes are we in? We're in 1 minute. So far we got a 1 minute shower with a decent little stream. Okay, there's the heater. The heater just came back on. I don't know if you can see that from here. I wonder if we'll run out of hot water before we run out of water. I mean, we should. That would make sense. Feels like it's starting to get a little cooler now. How many minutes are we? 2 minutes, 10 seconds. And for a bush shower, this is plenty. It's definitely cooling off though. Like it's not nearly as warm as it was a minute ago.
Now, when you're taking a bush shower, obviously you shut the water off, you know, during, you know, washing your body and your hair and stuff like that. So it'll give it a chance to kind of start to warm up a little bit again. Still perfectly comfortable, but it's definitely a lot cooler than it was at the start. And I think we're running out of water now, yeah. We still got a little bit coming through here. All right, what's the time? 3 minutes. Okay. Shut that off, shut that off. All right, so 3-minute shower. It's good enough. I'll take it. All right, gonna turn the water off, or the heater off. So it could be a little bit longer, but it definitely got cooler there. I would say I could probably stretch it to 5 minutes if I have the tank full of water and then make sure that this is full of water, because this is empty. So that's where we're running out, basically. So let's see here. Well, it's not empty, actually. The hose just wasn't all the way at the bottom. Okay, we might need to start that timer again, huh? All right, let me fix this here, because the hose wasn't quite at the bottom of the tank. So that's why it was just pulling air. Yeah, we still got... That's weird that that turned back on. We still got pressure here, so let's go back to where we were. And we'll keep the timer going. Whew, that's too hot. Okay, it's really hot again. Now it's good. Okay, now it's comfortable. So I guess we just had I just didn't have the hose. I'm gonna have to make like a solid line or something to go to the bottom of the tank that I can connect the hose to. Yeah, water's still really nice and warm though. This is great. I think it's gonna work really well. Running out again. Okay, now it is indeed empty. Okay, go ahead and shut it off. All right, what do we get to?
Just over 4 minutes.
It's over 4 minutes. Okay, so 4 minutes. So yeah, I definitely think I can get a full 5-minute shower if that tank was full to begin with. So that's pretty good. So, what are my thoughts about this? Well, I gotta say, I'm quite impressed. I'm gonna turn this off. Not sure why it's on. I'm quite impressed. It actually heated the water up pretty quickly. It's doing so again, so I can turn it off again. Yeah, I mean, as far as ease of installation, I mean, everything is pretty easily accessible. It looks like I'm going to have to do something about this because I believe it's leaking. Of course, that might just be when I pulled the hose out, but I doubt it. This one was leaking, so I'm going to have to fix that. But other than that, yeah, pretty good. Yeah, that's all I got. So as far as using my battery box to do this, I think what I'll need to do is just keep this at a lower setting, just get the water a little bit, because I had it cranked to maximum, right? So it stayed on for a really long time. So if I put it at like 3/4 way up or something like that, I think it'll be fine. And then once the inverter cools down, I can then continue to run it. But that's not what we're testing here. We were testing the hot water heater, and so far I think it's fantastic. I'm going to take it on a camping trip, so that's what I'm going to do next. So stay tuned for that. What'll take you 10 seconds will take me probably a few days. Just me and the crickets. All right, we are here in beautiful nature. As you can see, I've got a spectacular view, and yeah, just heating up the water now. It's pulling 1441 watts, which is a little higher than it was the last time we tested it at home. I am running through a long extension cord, which does not help. Now, I guess that thing is rated for 1500 watts, but it doesn't look like it pulls exactly 1500. It's a little bit less than that, which I guess is good for my sake anyway. Because yeah, it's going right up to about 44 amps at 120, or sorry, 44 amps from the 67 volt battery. That's right. So whatever that works out to. Anyway, so I'm not going full maximum this time. I've just put it sort of at the 3/4 way mark. And the reason for that is because I'm going to keep an eye on my battery pack to see if the inverter gets too hot, and then I'll just stop it, let the inverter cool down for a while, and then start up the heater again. But I suspect that by that time, it'll probably be hot enough, but we'll see what happens. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. I have cycled the hot water heater off in order to basically protect the inverter here. It's currently at 67 degrees. We've been running, I think it's, what did I say, 13 minutes? I think it's 13 minutes. I think I said 15, but it was actually 13 minutes. Anyway, it's not done yet. I've got it now up to 3/4, like before it was a little bit lower. So I've cycled it back on, and I'll cycle it off again if the temperature of my inverter gets too high. So yeah, I fully expect that this little water heater can definitely get up to full temperature in about 13 to 15 minutes. That's pretty good. I mean, that's 7 liters of water, so that takes a lot of energy. Oh, and I just heard it cycle off by itself at the 3/4 mark. Yep, light is off, so that's good. So I'm gonna let the inverter cool down a bit. You can see the road down there, people are honking. I'm gonna let the inverter cool down a bit, and then I will crank the heat up a little further. I actually don't need very hot water, to be honest, because it's pretty warm out right now, but I just want to see what it can actually do. So here's my little setup. I've got my towel ready to go. I've got the shower wand right here. Basically, I'm just going to have to hold it over me. It's not quite long enough to reach all the way down to where I might need it, but you know, whatever, water runs down. So the next time I do this, I'm going to have to figure something better out. Generally, if I'm in the wilderness, it's not really a problem. I don't need to necessarily cover up like this, but I got a buddy that could show up any minute now, and last thing I want is to be standing out here in the buff when he shows up. So yeah, so that's my solution. All right, so here's where I've gotten the water temperature to. The maximum setting would be right here. But remember when we were at the house there, when I had it in the max setting, it just didn't seem to ever get there. So I'm going to leave it there. That's going to be plenty hot enough. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it down now so it doesn't kick back on. I'm going to go ahead and put it right in the middle though. So I do still get a little bit of temperature out of it. Now, next thing I'm going to do is turn the pump on. And there's enough pressure that the pump's not kicking on yet, so that's good. The inverter is at 73 degrees Celsius, so I'm going to let that cool down now. All right. Let's see what kind of water temperature we have here on just hot, shall we? See what it does. So I'll turn the hot water on. So this is just hot water now. Just heard the pump come on. Woo! Ah! Yeah, that's really hot. Okay. Definitely need some cooler water there. Still very hot. A little more cool water. Still roasting hot. Okay. Turn the hot water down a bit. That's where we're going to use it, right there. That's warm. All right, so now put that up there. And I got to get in because it's just leaking water out now. Oh, that's really nice, actually. That is the perfect temperature. Well, there you have it, folks. The AMZCHEF electric water heater. Just enough for a quick shower. Love the product. I'm going to use it quite a bit, obviously, being, you know, on the top of my truck and portable and whatnot. I'd highly recommend it. Check out the link in the description for this exact product. If you have any questions, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, and I'll answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, have a great day.